Join me as I use a few magazine pages to create a lovely little pen pal parcel and fill it with ephemera and tiny little flat gifts that I think will hopefully enchant anybody who receives it, as well as just some inspiration for your creativity in your journals, in your scrapbooks, in your junk journals, or collage art. In any case, I hope you find some value in this video and at the very least, relax. Hi friends, I'm Ashley and welcome to Darling Cottage Diary. Today I'm doing a tutorial on creating a pretty little parcel from a few magazine pages. This is a Bella Grace magazine. I also really love In Her Studio, pretty much anything from Somerset Studios, anything from Stampington Company. They put out a whole lot of different magazines I like, and they tend to not use that glossy plastic type of covered paper. A lot of them have like workbook pages for you to fill out, and it's just really nice to use in a journal. And this one in particular I've had probably the longest. It was pretty shortly after they came out with, like, they started publishing them, but it got some water damage on the bottom, and so I wanted to use it to create a little pen pal parcel. I'm also pulling from my Ephemera Club's monthly digital. This digital was just published on my Patreon, and you can print it as many times as you want. For printing, I'll link my tips for printing really nice prints with a regular home printer in the description box as well as above. But this month they voted on retro as being their theme, their ephemera theme. So I created this digital for them to print, as well as I'm creating lots of sticker sheets and prints to send out in a Happy Mail parcel. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the link below. But otherwise, we are going to be making I was inspired by seeing a letter locking video about like Jane Austen and how they would fold letters and then lock them with sealing wax or other things so that people wouldn't read them. Obviously I'm not doing that because I will be putting this in an envelope. Those are kind of hard to send through the mail these days. But I wanted to kind of use this folding technique to where you could tuck it and it kind of almost be an envelope within an envelope. And so, plus the magazine pages were just slightly too big for the envelope I was using. So I decided to create this little extended page that I could then fold and fill with goodies and write my letter on the back of it so that the inside could just be filled with pretty things. And if she wants to add this to her journal, or if she wants to add pages and create a journal out of it, or if she wanted to cut it up and use it for something, she could do that. This is actually going to one of my patrons. She has been following me for a long time, and she sent me the most beautiful birthday gift way back in October, and I finally had a minute to sit down and do this. And I just, when people send me gifts, I always like to send thank you letters, because some of you can probably relate. I struggle with receiving sometimes. I'm getting better at it. It is a goal for 2025 of being okay and not feeling guilty about receiving things from people. Shout out to my other like I don't know if that's a perfectionist thing or what it is, but in either case, I'm trying to get better about it, but I still appreciate when people do stuff for me so much. I'm definitely one of those people who cries when somebody does something nice rather than is mean to me. I've got pretty thick skin if somebody's mean to me, or if something is very sad. I tend to only cry when I'm very happy, or I'm very emotionally happily touched in my heart. I don't know. I don't know what that says about my brain, but tell me in the comments if you work that way too. Anyway, so I wanted to show my gratitude for her being so kind and sending me such a lovely gift. And so I wanted it to have cute little pockets and filled up with goodies, but I didn't want to cover up too much of the magazine pages because they're beautiful. Particularly, I love that window with the flowers. I have been saving that page for somebody, and it's going to be her, because it's just I love the lighting, I love the colors, I love all of it, and so I didn't want to obscure too much of it, and so I thought this would make a cute little spot inside the window, and it wouldn't stand out too much from the color collage of the rest of the photo. And the quote too that was at the bottom of the page, to make it tuck in properly, I shortened the page, and I like how that came out being a little off center. The chippy peely torn at the edges. If you've been on my channel at all, you know that that's kind of my style. I like some things to be very pretty, but I also like them to look aged and not quite perfect and not quite finished. So, plus I'm trying not to over embellish because she might want to use this in her own stuff. So, but the quote was so sweet, and it's just, very, very mindful of the simple, happy things in life. And I feel like those of us who do junk journaling understand that we work with paper, and paper is just it didn't used to be for a lot of human history, but in our current history is quite taken for granted, especially in the digital age, and it's something that's thrown away constantly, and making something beautiful out of something so ephemeral like that is just, I don't know, it makes me happy. So, continuing on with decorating it, when I had the pops of like that dark pink and red from the flowers on the light blues and light, all these really cool colors. So I wanted to bring that out with this very pretty lady's red dress. I think this was from an old makeup ad that I found in a 1940s magazine. It was Better Homes and Gardens 1940s magazine, and she was just so regal looking and classy, and I just knew I needed to use her in a printable. And so this was another page from that same magazine, and the color palette and just the flowers, I figured that would look nice up against the background of the very cool soft colors as well. Obviously, this is going to be a tiny little folder. I love making, containers within containers, tiny boxes and tiny folders inside, bigger ones, kind of like Russian dolls. And case in point, look at this gorgeous vintage makeup box that I found, and I've been keeping tiny little things that have been floating around my desk in them, but it has this secret little compartment that I'm sure was probably used for the actual powder or blush that originally went in here, and then the little sponge probably went there. But look at the little button. I love it so much. So that little envelope I made from some antique ledger, and then all of those stamps are real vintage stamps that are 1950s or older. I found a little lot of them at an antique store, so I was trying to find one that kind of matched the color scheme and include that in the little ephemera folder that I'm making for her. But I love the secret compartment. And if you are my normal like ASMR, no talking, video loving crowd, have no fear. I am saving all of these chatty videos that I'm making, and I'm going to do a compilation of that's 1 or 2 hours long and post that for you so you can watch these in the background or just to unwind after work without listening to me talk. But as I said, when I do tutorials, I do like to talk a few things through, so hopefully you don't mind it this week. I had done several of those in the previous weeks and wanted to do a chatty one because on the poll that I took, half of y'all, it's half and half, almost exactly down the middle, or at least of the people who answered. So anyway, I hope you don't mind. This is a new glue brand that I'm trying out. I will update you on how I'm liking it or not compared to that 3-in-1 acetone glue that I have listed in my Amazon link. I was in a pinch and I grabbed this at my local hobby store, and it's okay. It doesn't dry as fast, but it doesn't warp. So as long as it doesn't warp, I'm okay because I can just use clips to hold things down. But I'm going to use it for a couple weeks and then report back because I'm not sure if I like it more than the other one yet. We'll see if it clogs the tip really bad like the other one does. But anyway, once I put the tab on the folder, I realized I actually wanted a tiny little pocket inside the folder because the stamp and a couple of the other things I wanted to include, I figured they would probably fall through. And so I used a little lace edge punch here and of course sewed it because I love the texture of the sewn edges and plus the utility of it. I don't want, when I'm making these videos, I do not want to wait for the glue to dry, and if I'm filling a pocket with ephemera, I don't want to deal with double-sided tape sticking to it and, you know, holding the ephemera in there. So it worked out. I like how it fit into the pocket. And then I was just trying to go through my smaller pieces and try to find little stickers and things that fit the color scheme. I wish I could know everybody, like all of my pen pals. I wish I could know their style a little bit better. I kind of go off of what they send me, as well as if you follow my channel or if you are one of my patrons. I assume you like my style, so I just try to make something that I would like to get, which, you know, is something that has to usually do with nature or is very vintagey and historical looking. And I want to actually start going a little older. I really like Rococo style. Y'all know I love Victorian style, but I actually want to go a little bit further back. It's just harder to find ephemera of that age to create stickers and stuff out of. I dabbled a little bit in it because we had a Rococo month and we had a Marie Antoinette month, and so I did create some stuff there, but I want to find more. That might be my hunting goal for this year, is to find more like Rococo revival type deals. And so I also, when I was making this, did not realize that pocket, I probably should have moved down a little bit more because of where the fold is, but y'all will see me try to figure that out at the end of the video. This box I love so much. My best friend gave it to me. It has what has to be Artemis or Diana, if you know anything about Greek or Roman mythology, on top of the box, and she is my favorite in that pantheon. The huntress, the independent lady, the daughter of the moon. Like, I love her. She's just got her pet wolves and is very vengeful to anybody who is mean to her or her people, and I love her. So I keep all kinds of little things in there, and at this point I was trying to let some of the other things dry and like glue dry and stuff, so I thought I'd go ahead and take the time to write the letter portion and then go back to making the smaller pieces while the ink dried. This is calligraphy ink that's different from the fountain pen ink from Ferris Wheel Press. I'm still trying to figure out if I like it or not. I love the color. I love painting with it. It's wonderful on a paintbrush. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I think it's a struggle bus with trying to use it with a calligraphy pen. I started out using my antique pen with this, my 1880s antique pen, and it just would not flow. I could not get it to flow comfortably. I was actually almost tore the paper with my pen nib because it was just not coming out. So it might just be a little too thick for the shape of this This pen, I've noticed, tends to like a pretty light but oil-based ink. Y'all have seen a black and a red and a gold I've used with this one, and all three of those are that type. So it doesn't do very well with the water-based, and it doesn't do very well with this kind of chalky texture. So I switched to a more modern nib, and that worked way better. So I was happy with how that turned out. But it did take me changing the pen to be happy with writing it. And then after I was done, I realized hopefully she's able to even read it. I should have just done a white gel pen, y'all. And this happens. Y'all see, it's a little dark. The last time I wrote with this, I feel like it was lighter. Maybe I didn't shake it up well enough. I don't know. Or my memory is just out there. But in either case, I do like the ink. I just am trying to figure out the right tools to use with it, if that makes sense. So this one did much better. It was heftier, and it had the little metal ball. It has a little metal ball on the end of the nib, whereas the antique one doesn't. And I think that makes a big difference with how thick this ink is. Alright, so now that our letter is finished, I wanted to fill up all these pockets with all of the little things. And one of the things I wanted to send like a washi tape swatch sample. I found all of the ones I'm going to be sending her. I found at Daiso at various times over the last 2 years, and I'm very careful about not using them too much because I really like them, and I don't want to blow through them too quickly. But a lot of them just are like ruffles, or I like that they're flowers that are cut around the edges. They're not, they have the more fussy cut shape instead of just the straight edges. The watercolor green leaves are really nice. This little booklet has sticker paper in it, like the backing of sticker paper, so you can put stickers in there to organize it, or you can put washi tape samples in there to organize or send, like this. My sister gave it to me for Yuletide, and I really love it because I can do this. But apparently it's also, I can imagine it would be nice to use for traveling if you're gonna use stickers and do some journaling while traveling. We'll probably use that at some time this year for that. But anyway, so I thought I was gonna make this cute little swatch, and it just ended up kind of being all the same color palette too, which worked out really nicely. And in sending washi tape pieces in the past through Happy Mail, I have used cut up plastic pieces from like packaging, like makeup packaging and stuff. Obviously I've saved the backing of sticker sheets before, so it's not something you have to go out and buy. So pretty easy to find something that it doesn't stick to too badly. And this little crying angel statue I was trying to turn into a sticker sheet for our Gothic garden. For our Gothic garden month of, I guess that was in October, and my Cricut was acting up as it does, so I'll figure it out with a different sticker paper and hopefully be able to send those out in the future, because I do like how those turned out as well. But I wanted to give her one of those. I made this wax seal clip in a short and in a different video over the holiday season, and so I thought I would send her one of those. I made a couple of them, and it was, I don't know, I really like the wax seals on the end of clips. I think it makes them look really elegant, and they also stick out at the edges of your journals, so almost like a bookmark, and so I like being able to flip to it. And then, of course, just a little flower, which added a lot of bulk, but I don't know. I figured a sparkly flower would make anybody smile. That was a little quote from the magazine, one of the other magazine pages as well, and I just liked it. I thought it would be nice to put in a journal, or turn into something else, turn into a tag maybe. And this I picked up the other day at a bookstore, and I love myself some postcards. So this is my first time looking at them because it was an impulse buy, and they're all very beautiful. I love old botanical drawings. They look good on everything, so I figured sending a couple of those, again, kind of matching the coloring palette of the whole thing with little pops of red on cool backgrounds, would continue the color scheme. If you haven't noticed, my desk looks a little bit different. I recently was given some brand new, well, it's vintage furniture, but it was given some furniture by my mom. She runs a nonprofit called Tethering Hope, and they work with a lot of, elderly who are downsizing, and estate sales and things like that to help fund helping people who are very near homelessness. And anyway, it's a great project she's working on, and part of that is that she comes across some really nice furniture, and if it doesn't sell at their sales, then she's able to pass it along to anybody who she knows needs it. And y'all saw my unaesthetic tour of my office studio, and I thought I was just a very messy artist. Turns out that is not true. Turns out I just lacked organizational space and containers, so I lacked the proper furniture. So if you feel similarly like you're a messy artist, maybe you just need some nice hutches and desks with deep drawers. So I can't give you a tour yet. A tour is coming, but it's still quite a mess in there. I just basically moved in the pieces so that they were no longer in my living room and organized supplies within those. So it's been very nice to work on because the space is much bigger. It's double the width of the desk that I was working on. And obviously I have the vertical space to store a lot of my pieces. So that's been really, really nice. So adding this little tag, it's big enough I figure she could use it as a journaling card in a smaller journal or just a straight up writing space in a larger journal. And I really love this tea. I don't see it in stores very often, so I usually send out some of the rarer teas I find that I really like to pen pals. And this is the final product. I was trying to keep it to where I could fit it in a regular envelope. If you do send chunky envelopes, U.S. Post Office does have certain stamps that you can use for non-machined envelopes, and I recommend getting those because they're not that much more expensive than a normal stamp. And it's been a lifesaver with these because otherwise they get sent back. So just so you know, that's available. You don't have to pay for the big expensive like parcel type, the like first class type. You can just use a non-machinable stamp. So folding this up, very excited to send this off with my love. For next week, if you would like to see a commonplace book update, please leave me a little book emoji in the comments. And if you would like to see me start a series on different art pages for the Norse gods, like Freya and Thor, leave me a lightning bolt. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I'll see you next week. I hope you find some creative time this week. Bye!